My name is Charlie. I'm a golden retriever guide dog. Those with fur as golden as the morning sun, gentle eyes, and a heart big enough to hold the whole world. And this is the story of the day they said I wasn't aesthetically enough to be at a wedding. But they didn't know something. They didn't know that behind my human's dark sunglasses, there was more than just light-sensitive eyes. There was strength, there was dignity, and there was us. My human's name is Helen. She has delicate hands that know exactly where to scratch behind my ears, and a smile that seems shy but lights up everything around when it appears. It had been a long time since she smiled. I met her after many comings and goings in places that smelled of hospitals, fear, and farewells. When I arrived, she still wore her sunglasses indoors, even at night. It wasn't about the light. It was to hide what she thought others couldn't see, the pain of being forgotten. Her family visited now and then. I didn't understand them well. Humans talk a lot and touch too little, but I listened, and I felt. Her son always spoke loudly, as if she were deaf. The woman who came with him smelled of strong perfume and had a cold voice. They talked about things I didn't understand, like pension, responsibility, busy schedule. But I saw my human's hands tremble under the table, and I lay down at her feet because that's what I could do, and sometimes that was all she needed. I remember one day when she hugged me tightly after one of those visits. She whispered, her forehead pressed against mine, "At least you don't look at me like I'm a burden." That was when we got the invitation to our niece's wedding. I knew it was something special because my human sat on the couch for hours with the invitation in her lap. She ran her fingers over the embossed letters as if reading with her hands. Then she let out a deep sigh and said just one word, "No." But on the wedding day, she went. She went out of love because she still had that in her heart despite everything. We arrived together, her in a navy blue dress, dark sunglasses, and me with my harness steady, attentive to every step. But as soon as we crossed the threshold, the woman with the strong perfume approached. She smiled only with her mouth. Her eyes were hard as stone, and she said, "You brought him here? Helen, it's your niece's wedding, not a clinic. That dog, it's not aesthetic." My human froze, and I felt it. I felt it in the way she gripped my harness. I felt it in her held breath. I felt it when she almost turned to leave. But then, she slowly let go of my harness. She took off her sunglasses, and I heard the gasps. Her face was visibly different, eyes with faint scars, but no fear, just truth, just who she was, and that's when everything started to change. From the first day I came into my human's life, I knew there was something to protect beyond streets and stairs. I needed to protect the light inside her, the one that still flickered, however faintly, behind those dark sunglasses. Her routine before me was quiet, too quiet even for my keen ears. She spent hours sitting in the same armchair, hands in her lap, fidgeting with her fingers as if weaving memories no one else wanted. The radio played soft music, but she rarely sang. And when she did, it was so soft, as if apologizing for still being there. I arrived on a cloudy day. The clouds covered the sky like a heavy blanket, and the wind carried scents of change. I remember her touch on my head, careful, hesitant, like someone afraid to love and lose again. But I'm patient. Golden retrievers are good at that. We wait. We love slowly, but forever. Little by little, the house changed. She started going out with me in the mornings, walking slowly on the sidewalk, feeling the ground with her cane on one side and my harness on the other. Some people looked at us with pity. Others turned away as if we were invisible. But she started talking to me, not with big words, just enough. "Let's go slowly, Charlie. Did you smell those flowers? Thank you for staying. I always stayed. Always. But there was a sadness that came with the visits. Those that brought voices that said much and touched little. Her son always arrived checking his watch. The woman with the strong perfume asked questions with short smiles. Are you taking your meds, Helen? Is someone helping you bathe? Do you really think you can take care of that dog alone? They spoke as if she were a painting on the wall. Something you glance at now and then, but no longer has a place in the room. Once I heard the woman say, "A dog is work, Helen. You need practicality, not company." But she replied, "You don't understand. He's my eyes and my heart." That night, she cried softly. I lay beside her and rested my muzzle in her hand, and she smiled through her tears. It was a small smile, but it was ours. Little by little, she began to change. First came the walks, then a pot of lavender by the window. Later, the smell of cake wafting from the kitchen. She started making recipes she remembered from childhood. I'd lie near the stove, watching and drooling a little, I confess. She laughed when I tried to prop myself up on the counter with my paws. And sometimes, I saw that spark in her eyes that made me feel like I'd done something very important. And I had. Because I was there for that. To remind my human that she could still walk, that she could still choose, that she was still herself. And then came the invitation to her niece's wedding. Before I tell you how my human silenced everyone in that reception hall, I want to ask you something. If our story has tugged at your heart, if you believe that love doesn't need to see to truly see, leave a like, subscribe, and stay with us until the end, because the best is yet to come. The wedding venue was filled with lights and the scent of expensive flowers. So many voices, so many footsteps, and laughter that echoed without direction. But my human, she stood there, holding my harness with one hand and her sunglasses in the other. The woman with the perfume, the one who always spoke as if love had to do with appearances, was speechless. Her son looked around embarrassed, as if he wanted to disappear. But my human stood firm. She looked straight ahead, even without seeing, and with a voice calm but strong as the roots of an ancient tree, she said, "I'm blind, not invisible. This is Charlie. He's my partner, my guide, and the only creature here who's never judged me for being who I am." A silence fell over the room like a wet blanket, heavy, cold, thick. But then something beautiful happened. The bride, her niece, set her bouquet aside for a moment, walked over to my human, and hugged her. A real hug with tight arms and closed eyes. She said, "You look beautiful, Aunt Helen, and so does Charlie." The music started again. The mood shifted, and no one dared to say another word about aesthetics. My human walked to her table with her head held high, me by her side, as always. But that day, it wasn't her leaning on me. It was me walking with my chest puffed out, my tail wagging with pride. She didn't need to hide behind her sunglasses anymore. She didn't need the world to accept her, because she, finally, accepted herself. After that day, she started singing while she cooked again. She planted more flowers by the window, and every time someone came to visit, she smiled first. Her revolution was made of small gestures, but I saw it all. I saw the birth of a new woman, and I was there every step of the way. From that day on, everything was different. My human, The one who used to spend her days in silence with trembling hands in her lap now laughed more often. She laughed when I spilled water, trying to drink too fast. She laughed when the flowers by the window became a haven for little birds. She even laughed at memories that used to hurt because she learned that remembering is also a way of living. The visits changed. Some came with more kindness, others came less often. But my human no longer waited for approval. She baked new cakes with old recipes, and the neighbors started asking for slices of Helen's cake as if it were a rare gift. Her son called sometimes, more out of duty than affection. But now she answered the phone with a steady voice. She said she was fine. She said she was going out with Charlie. She said she didn't need help, just respect. And the most beautiful thing of all, she started giving talks. Nothing big, just community meetings, gatherings with other blind people. And me, of course, always by her side. While she spoke, I'd lie at the foot of her chair, listening to that voice, once just a whisper, become a beacon. Some people cried. Others came to pet me afterwards and said, "He's special, you can tell." But no one ever dared call me not aesthetic again. And when the sun sets slowly outside and she sits on the porch with a cup of tea in her hands, I rest my head at her feet and let out a deep sigh. Because I know I've done what I came to do. My mission was never just to guide through the paths. It was to light the way within. It was to stay when everyone else left. It was to show that love doesn't need eyes to see. My human doesn't wear sunglasses anymore. She doesn't need to. She sees with her heart. And me? I'm Charlie. I'm a guide dog. I'm a golden retriever. I'm the reflection of the most loyal love there is, and I'll stay with her until the last sunset.